40, a solo episode with me, Tiffany Hinton, and we're talking about making infusions of vodka at home, making wonderful holiday gifts today on Cultivating Guts. Hello, it's Tiffany, and welcome back to Cultivating Guts, a podcast where we discuss gardening, homesteading, gut health, and following our intuition. I'm so excited to be back with you this week. I've had a lot of fun this past week. We had a Little Witches Moon Club for the kids on Sunday. My daughter had her first gymnastics meet of the season, and it's just been fun. And now today it is snowing. And what came through my head as I was walking outside this morning to open the chicken run door for them to come out if they wanted to play in the snow, yet none of them want to come out, was it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And yes, I can't sing, but that's what was running through my head. And it got me thinking, like, today on the podcast, we're going to talk about some homemade gift ideas and a lot about vodka infusions and how to make the homemade vodkas that I love to make and that I'm learning more and more about. And so it'll be a fun podcast, probably not child appropriate, but very fun nonetheless. And today we're also simultaneously video recording. So hello. If you're on Spotify or YouTube, you can see me as we're in the recording studio right here. And if you want to see the recording, hop over to YouTube at youtube.com/Tiffany Hinton. You can also see our past podcast episodes that have been recorded over on YouTube as well. So let's see what else. Before we get started, if you guys could subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, that'd be a huge favor. Be like a very special gift for me. The more ratings and reviews we have, the more it is able to be found by other people that are searching for new podcasts to listen to. And if you subscribe, it's also a win for you. You get notified every time we put out a brand new podcast. So that's something fun there. We will also send you a 4-day Hacking Your Health Gut Detox plan if you send us a screenshot of your review to tiffany@cultivatingguts.com. And as you're watching this, if you have a part that you absolutely love or it's just super insightful for you or it's an aha moment, go ahead and screenshot that on your phone and share that to Instagram at Cultivating Guts or at I am Tiffany Hinton. And I'll get that reposted and tag you. I love to see what people have to say about the podcast. And I'm super excited to get started with today's episode. Grateful for you to be here to listen and for all of our other amazing listeners who helped us grow the podcast. Can you believe it? Episode 40. Oh my gosh, it's like a milestone that we have today. And so feel free to share this with others. And before we head into the show, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Today's podcast is sponsored by Non-Disclosure Apparel. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you have heard my infomercial for Non-Disclosure Apparel. You know it's my everyday go-to bra, and we have some new, fun, and amazing stuff from Non-Disclosure Apparel. Not only are they in the gift guide, so check out our brand new article in November's Natural Awakenings magazine online or in print, and you'll see an article around Non-Disclosure Apparel, and I sat down and interviewed Becky Connolly, the owner. They're also my farming bra, my workout bra, my yoga bra, my clean the house bra, my I just want to sit around and read a book bra. And it's just, they're comfortable and they hide your nipples and they just fit so perfectly. And so our podcast sponsor today is giving you a free gift of 15% off, and the code is Tiffany15. Tiffany15 will get you the 15% off your purchase, and you can check out that link below and where to order in our show notes. So thank you, Nand. All right, welcome to the show today. Like I said in the intro, it is snowing. We could get up to 5 inches, which is a little crazy for November, but yet seems to be on par with every other winter right here in Chicagoland. And we're not super close to the lake, but we're a good 30 minutes away. So sometimes we get a little bit of extra lakefront effect, a lake effect snow, which gives us a little bit more than people to the west. It's a very interesting dynamic. But it is a great time to talk about gift giving and some really unique ideas that you can make from things that maybe you've had from the garden, things that just you're inspired by. And then we're going to talk a lot about vodka infusions because that is a holiday gift. I think that for a lot of people, it would be super fun to receive, but it's also fun to make. It does take a little preparation. And so we'll talk about that as well. So Really quickly, let me run through a couple of unique gift ideas that you can make with your kids and give away, whether you're giving it to neighbors, friends, family, teachers, other people in your own garden club. A couple of really unique, fun ideas is dried herb mixtures. So when we picked all of the herbs from the garden right before it frosted and we put them in paper bags or we hung them from the ceilings, you probably have now like dried basil and dried oregano and dried thyme. You can very easily take those, take them off the stems, put them in a bowl, use a wooden mallet. If you've got a grinder, what is that thing called? It's not going to come to me right now, but like the we have a stone bowl with a stone grinder. Pestle and mortar. That's what that's called. The pestle and the mortar. If you have one of those, it works just as well. And so you can mix dried oregano, dried basil, and some dried thyme. And if you want to add a little garlic in there as well, like garlic salt or garlic, you can make a very easy Italian seasoning that you can put in little jars. I love to actually buy the yogurt that comes in glass jars and then wash those. And they've got the lids that screw on and use those as well for jelly and different things. So you could give away Italian seasoning mixtures. You could do oil infusions if you pick up some, if you still have some fresh herbs growing in your kitchen or you pick some up from a local farm. You could infuse those in olive oil and do kitchen olive oil infusions. Again, like pizza oils with the oregano and the garlic and the basil and things like that. Or even if you've got flowers that you saved, flower petals or lavender that you saved from your garden, you could do beauty oil infusions. The other thing that's super fun to do with kids is if you have the pestle and the mortar, put the Epsom salt in, about a cup of Epsom salt, then add fresh herbs. So you're probably going to have to, again, go to a farmer's market or pick them if you've got them growing. I still have fresh herbs in the greenhouse. I need to get back in dirt that we propagated. You can put those in and grind them, and the salt will take in the juices of like the oregano or the rosemary. I love a good rosemary infused bath scrub or bath salt. Rosemary's for protection. It's for healing, and it's just a great de-stressor for the nervous system. So those bath salts can then again be put in little jars or bagged up in little baggies and put a ribbon on them, and those make really unique gifts that you can give from the garden to your neighbors. If you seed saved, we have in our Ultimate Green Witch Garden Planner and also in the reference guide for the Little Witch's Moon Club, a seeds envelope. You can have copy that onto paper, like just run it on a photocopier, or print out the PDF from your back office of our Cultivating Guts website. And you can put seeds in there and label them and give seeds, fresh seeds to somebody that's a fellow gardener, right? Organic seeds that you've saved. So whether they're cilantro seeds from the top, or radishes, or we save some squash seeds and some mini pumpkin seeds and some other stuff. I actually have some bean seeds too, pole bean seeds. So those are a couple of other really unique options. Okay, now we're going to dive into today's topic as well. If you're on video, yes, I'm going to the corporate office. So I am dressed to go to the corporate office, but we're getting this podcast put together because it's inspired by the snow. It's inspired by this gift giving season that we're headed into. So vodka infusions. I was a child that did not grow up in a house that drank alcohol. I grew up in actually a dry town for most of my childhood. A lot of people don't realize where I grew up was a dry town when I was a kid. And so there was no bar in city limits. There was no package disposal or dispenser or gas station that had beer for sale when I was a child. It was a very interesting dynamic. It's like our town was frozen in the 1920s. But I also my family was, as most religious, Southern Baptist, don't drink. My mom's side of the family, her father had brothers who were alcoholics, who were abusive, who had died from drinking too much, and so my childhood, I was not really exposed to much alcohol. I was actually told it's bad. It's like the devil's work. It's really awful. It'll kill you. It'll turn you into a monster. I can remember different people saying different things when I was a kid, right? Grow up, move to the city. have this whole traumatic experience myself with my health, I go wild and crazy, and and I party and I drink and I dance and I hang out all weekends and I go to the city with friends, and I have that traditional, probably wild child life for a few years. And there are a few kinds of alcohol that I can't drink because I'm celiac and they make me sick. And there's things that I won't drink because I got too sick on them. I think many people can relate to that experience where you've had too much of something and then it came back up and you're like, oh, never again, never again. But lately, and I say lately as in the last 3 years, again, we live in a hugely Polish American suburb and neighborhood. Okay. And a very culturally diverse neighborhood, and I love it. So, in the last 3 years, I've had the unique experience to taste homemade vodkas, to taste vodka infusions, and I have fallen in love with a few of them. And the nice thing about it is it's a shot. It's not like you're drinking a whole bottle in a day. It's not like you're drinking multiple shots. We're not kids out to party. We're adults. It's like a shot every so often. They're a shot because it's nostrovia to your health, right? Or Salud or whatever, cheers, right? And it's a shot to like calm the stress a little bit, to warm you up, and then there's medicinal, and that's what I like. I like to play in the medicinal. And so but some people would call these tinctures because you're doing tinctures and then you're making cough syrups or elderberry syrups as well, or lemon balm, melissa, right, which are for boosting the immune system. So there are different ways to look at it. And I will say I fell in love with cherry, cherry vodka, and lemon. And then most recently, I did my own mojito mint leaf. So there is a mint plant that is specifically called a mojito mint, right? That grows. And I had those this year in the garden with lime juice and honey, raw honey, and the spiritus. And it's like a vodka mojito. It's kind of cool and like a little bit. And it leaves a very nice balance on your tongue. So it's almost like too, like a lot of people are wine connoisseurs or whiskey connoisseurs, and there's this palate. You can do similar things with the infused vodkas. So with the cherries, you can also do cherries with cardamom and a lemon, or not a lemon. Oh my goodness, don't do a lemon in your cherry. Cherries with cardamom and a vanilla bean pod. We have right now an apple going with fresh like cloves in it and a cinnamon stick and a nutmeg in this whole thing of apple vodka that's going. So we're going to dive into what are the easy ways to do it, and some of the tips and tricks that I have. All right. So, what are the basic ingredients for a vodka infusion or a tincture, right? Definitely, what is the fruit you're using? What is the berry? What is the herb? What is the item that you're going to use? You need that, whatever it is. I've juiced them in the past and used just the juice. And then I've also done like the chopping or the cubing and letting the vodka sit in the cubes. That's probably my preference because when you juice them and then you add the spiritus, um, we end up with a film or a thing at the bottom. And I don't like that as much. So I would rather leave them partially whole, do the infusion, and then use the cheesecloth and strain out. And then you could always reuse the fruit. Some people use it 2 times. I think one person uses it 3 times that I'm aware of, but definitely you can reuse the fruit twice. Okay. Okay. So you're gonna need whatever your fruit of choice is. You're gonna need a spiritus. I get these at the Polish deli or the market, the European market, and it is an alcohol that is 96% or 120% alcohol. It's not something you drink straight ever. Talk about dying from alcohol poisoning. Never drink spiritus straight. Like no way. Um, but you need that because that is the density of the alcohol that we need to pull out the medicinal properties of the fruits, of the vegetables, pull out the antioxidants and all that stuff. You'll need a sweetener of some sort. Some people are using like inverted sugars. I have started using raw honey. My neighbors use raw honey. I like the taste of it. I like that it also has a medicinal property to the honey. It's antiviral. It's good for your throat. Like there's a lot of things with the honey. So I like the honey. I actually just bought 60 pounds of honey in this huge bucket um, from a farmer. So I like the honey. And then you're going to need a good water, a filtered water, right? Whether you have an osmosis machine yourself and you're filtering your own water or you're buying filtered water. But you're going to need a water because you need a cutting agent. Okay. And what happens? What happens is you fill up your jar, your mason jar, your gallon jug, whatever you're using, with the fruit of choice. Pour in the spiritus and let it sit for 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, depending on what you're doing. Um, with the lemon, we juice the lemons. We don't use whole lemons. We juice the lemons. We pour the spiritus in. We add the honey and the water all at the same time, and then we let that sit for 6 months in a cool, dark space. With the apples, this was interesting. So with the apples, um, they basically said shred the apples. So I ran them through just the blender really quickly, like just almost like a food processor. Shred the apples. So they were just like, oh, and then you let the apples sit for 3 days in a jar. Um, and then you cheesecloth them, get all the juice out. So you kind of start to ferment the apples. Then you get the juice out. Then I mix that juice with the spiritus, with, I did not add any honey. No, I did add honey. I added 800 grams of honey. I mean, it's like 4 cups or something of honey. I added the cloves, I added the nutmeg and the half a cinnamon stick. And then I added, so it was 1.5 liters of spiritus, 3 liters of water, plus the apple juice. It was like 1.5 liters of the apple juice after I cheeseclothed it. And that's sitting in a gallon jar for 6 months. So the apple will not be ready till next summer. So this is like, if you're going to give these away for gifts, the lemon would be one you could give away as a gift because you could mix it all in a big pot and then you could measure it into like reusable vinegar jars, liter jars. You could use different types of jars and put little cute labels on it. But then like do not drink until 3 months, right? Or 6 months, depending on which one you're making. Cherries. So I got a pound of cherries, pitted them, put like 3 pits in the jar, then put all the cherries in without the pits, and then covered that in spiritus. The cherries I started in August. They're still sitting. They sit about 6 months in the spiritus, and then I'll strain them, and then I'll add the water and the honey, and I'm thinking about even doing a vanilla vodka, which I have vanilla right now sitting in vodka in a smaller jar. So then I might add a tablespoon of the vanilla vodka to the cherry to give it a little bit of a layering of flavor as we build the cherry in the spring. So the cherry, if I started it in August, we're talking September, October, November, December, January, February, we will do the cutting of the cherry. And then that will make a nice little Valentine's Day treat for a few people. Elderberry flower is another one that I picked up from another person that does his blends and his infusions. Elderberry flower is medicinal, definitely. It's like a Melissa vodka as well. The lime I told you about, it was the mojito mint leaves with lime juice and honey, and it is amazing, amazing, amazing. I am tempted next year to try a lemon with honey and lavender from a calming perspective for the lavender, like an evening cap. That one might be fun. My neighbor does a cranberry. Her cranberry is really good. So I might be inspiring some of you, and I got it. If you're hearing this and you're like, hey, I need an exact recipe, like I need measurements here, Tiffany. You guys send me a message, send me a note on Instagram if you hear the podcast, and I will send you back an exact message with some measurements. Okay. Um, Also recently, what I found out is it's not over here. I was like, is it here? I can show you. No, it's not. In Poland, they have a book all about spirit recipes, and it's all in Polish. My Polish reading is not so great. I can read words that I'm familiar with from the grocery store, like flour and milk and apple and like those things, and vanilla and all of that. But to read a full recipe, it takes me a little bit of time to do translations. Definitely can't pronounce it. or if I do pronounce it, people laugh. Um, but I went ahead and my neighbor helped get me a copy of the book because it has, I don't know, 60, maybe 100, maybe even 120 infusion recipes, right? And infusion with the metrics and the measurements and the length of time to ferment and things like that. So I'm using Google Translator, and this is super fun. If you guys have never seen this, the Google Translator app uses your cell phone camera. You can take a picture of something, and then Google Translator translate everything in the picture for you. So then I can save that translation into my phone or into a document or however I want to do that, or handwrite about. Lately, I've been just saving the photo of the translation. Um, but that was one way to handle it. It'll translate multiple languages. So if you find a vodka cookbook or a spiritus cookbook in another language and you can't read it, Google Translator. Um, that was a really cool thing. I thought at first I was gonna have to type everything in and then let it translate, but now they've upped their game, and you just take a photo of everything you want translated and it converts it for you. So that it was super cool and amazing. So for some people, if you're listening, you might get a homemade vodka for Christmas. For others, I would encourage you to give something like this a try. It is fun. It doesn't take a lot of work. It just takes some time, and most of the time, you can do something else, and it just sits on the shelf and like does its fermentation. If you're doing tinctures like calendula leaves, petals, and things like that for medicinal purposes, sometimes instead you can definitely use the vodka and then add it to salves and different things, or make cough syrup like elderberry syrups. Um, but sometimes people will do the fermentation in olive oil or liquid coconut oil, which means you have to keep it at, a little bit higher than room temperature for it to stay liquid for 3 hours or even 3 weeks. And then they take out the plant material, and then they're left with a medicinal carrier liquid that you can use to make soap and salves and syrups and beauty products and face ointments and all kinds of fun stuff. And so those are all really cool. There's a couple of different magazines that have recipes for different things like that. So you can probably find those as well, and some books as well online. Guys, this has been a fun episode. I hope that you've been inspired, that you've found something you want to try. And like I said, if you want the actual recipe for something with the real measurements instead of me just giving you approximations, or you want to try it, or you're interested in having a vodka infusion class, we might be able to set something like that up. I just need to know that you are interested. So if that's something you're interested in, please send me a direct message at I am Tiffany Hinton or at Cultivating Guts on Instagram, and we'll see what we can make happen. So with that, I'm going to let us kind of hit the outro. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Share with me what your favorite part was, and when are you going to try to make your own homemade vodka or tincture or even homemade bath salt? Very curious about that. Take a picture of it when you make it. Tag us on Instagram at Cultivating Guts. You guys, ask me any questions you have. Like I said during the podcast, send me your questions via Instagram. I'm here for you, and I'm excited to see your benefits and your results. Satnam. Love you guys. So if you love this episode, remember to share it with your friends and send it to anyone who may love inspiration and information that we share. To get my newest book, The Ultimate Green Witch Garden Planner, you can find it on Amazon or at our website, www.cultivatingguts.com. Going to share a couple of little secrets with you right now on this podcast, because I know next week is coming, Thanksgiving is coming, and holiday shopping is going to be happening, right? So a couple of insider secrets for those of you that are catching this podcast. We are doing a Black Friday special only. That email will be coming out next week. It is a 24-hour sale on our Ultimate Green Witch Garden Planner for $9.99. Actually, no, for $9 flat. I mean, it's like a steal. $9 flat on the ebook. That will be available only at www.cultivatingguts.com, and you will need the promo code. So in order to get that promo code, you need to be on our email list. So go to www.cultivatingguts.com on your cell phone right now. Sign up for that mailing list. It's right at the top. It says get all the news, get the info, learn more. because that's how you're going to get the promo code to get the planner as an ebook for $9. Okay. Reuse that planner year after year. It's amazing. Other thing happening. Small Business Monday's coming, right? Small Business Monday, Small Business Saturday, all of that fun shopping stuff is happening. We're going to do a BOGO, buy one, get one half off for the Little Witch Moon Gardening Club classes. So you can sign up for December and January, basically pay for December, get January half off. So that's cool. And then I also have something coming up with Outwoken Tea, who was on the podcast recently. So we are also doing a bundle for Small Business Monday, and that'll be coming out in email. And there's a bundle where you'll be able to get her blue tea and the Ultimate Green Witch Garden Planner as a set. You give that as a gift. You could give that to yourself. I mean, why not? If you do all this other shopping, buy yourself something too. So those are little sneaks into what's coming, but to get those codes, to get the BOGO code, to get the code for $9, to get all of that, you do have to be on our email list. So I want to let you know that you have time to do it. You can do it on your mobile. You just need to go to www.cultivatingguts.com and sign up for that. So you'll get that information. If you are looking for ideas for gardeners for the holiday season, what do you give a gardener? Tune in next week to our podcast and we will talk about what to give a gardener for Christmas or for Hanukkah or any other holiday that you are celebrating, and what can you give a gardener that they will appreciate and love and just be so grateful for you for the whole season. So we'll do that next week on the podcast. And if you are ready to get gardening yourself and you just don't know where to get started, check out our gardening masterclass at cultivatingguts.com and you'll get all the stuff you need to get going and growing your own food.